Yeah.
So I mean, I don't
I
know
think
how
like
many
a couple
weeks
of
ahead they
weeks.
were. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, let's hope for the best.
Yeah. Let's hope for the
Just,
best. It's
I would
funny.
really like to.
You think you wouldn't be able to shoot in July? I'll kill myself.
First of all, saying thank you for spending this time talking with me.
All good.
I really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thanks.
But yeah, like just as I say, we always go through this with everyone. Like this is still relatively new, so we're still kind of figuring out everything. But the kind of genesis of this was the reason that me and my friend Terry, who's also a film director, we just want
Mm-hmm.
this opportunity to kind of connect with other filmmakers out there and just kind of talk and you know and kind of bring up things that we think are really relevant and interesting, and hopefully
Say it
out of
again.
it there'll
Sorry,
be
you
some.
froze.
Oh,
You froze
sorry.
for a bit. I couldn't.
So we basically wanted to use this opportunity to connect with other filmmakers,
Yeah.
and just to kind of use this time as inspiration, and hopefully some knowledge for other, you know, maybe younger filmmakers out there who are starting out and things like
Yeah.
that. So yeah, you know, it's just at the end of the day, hopefully you won't feel like any pressured or anything like that. You know, it's just basically a chat that I've been recording.
No pressure.
And then obviously when it goes out, it goes out. Yeah. So are you in England right now? Right, bitch. Is that
Yeah, I'm
correct?
in London.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But you're originally, you're originally from Spain? Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah. I'm from Valencia.
Valencia.
Yeah.
Amazing. I've only been there once, and they had the most amazing aquarium.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah,
I've never been
that's
to the aquarium, but yeah.
yeah. It was unbelievable. Like absolutely, yeah. I really enjoyed Valencia. Um, so yeah, well, first thing I wanted to really ask you was obviously, so you're originally from Spain, but
Yeah.
you ended up over here, to
Mm-hmm.
kind of pursue a career in filmmaking.
Yeah.
Was that always the plan, I guess, from the start, or did that kind of
Not
just
really. It
happen?
just happened. I guess it happened as I figured. Like, no, it wasn't a plan. Like, I did my BA in media in Spain, and then I knew I wanted to do cinematography, and I knew I wanted to go abroad. So I thought London made more sense in Europe, because I knew if I did a master's, I would like to stay around and use those contacts. So it wouldn't
Mm.
make sense really to go to the US, or, you know what I mean? Because for me, it was
Mm-hmm.
London or New York, but then New York, I wouldn't be able to stay because of a visa. So I was
Mm.
like, I'll just stay in London. And yeah, that was it. I went to London, did the master, and then, yeah, 9 years later, here I am.
And so in Spain, sorry, did you start off by studying cinematography, or were you like kind of did you do
No,
photography
so
first, or was it
I
something you
did
knew?
media. I
Mm-hmm.
did media, which is like, I don't know, like audiovisual communication, sort of.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it's film, it's TV, it's even like, it's got a bit of advertising, it's got a bit of theater, it's got a bit of a lot of things. It's like, yeah, media. I don't know. You don't have that
Yeah.
here,
Yeah.
do you?
We have like media studies. I guess it's a similar thing. Yeah, where we kind of you talk about the processes and like the differences between the communication and things like that. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, this was a bit of like how to work behind the camera, get like a lot of like knowledge of like history of filmmaking and all that
Mm.
stuff. But it's like 5 years studies, but really broad.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So it kind of encompassed everything.
So a bit of everything and nothing really. So then when I came here and I went to set, I was like, what am I doing? I didn't have any knowledge of anything practical at all. Like a lot of films, a lot of history, a lot of, yeah, like useful in a way on being set, not really. Like I went to
Yeah.
set, I didn't know what I was doing at all.
I still find that to this day though. Like I'll turn up on set and I still don't feel like I'm the least experienced
Mm.
person in the room, even though if I've been doing it for 10 years or whatever. I think it's just part of it, I guess.
10 years,
Um,
wow.
yeah. I started getting into it when I was 21.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that I mean, professionally, only a few years now. So I'm still relatively new, but I'm,
Yeah.
grateful enough to be doing it, because it's a long, hard road, as we all know.
Yeah.
So when you were doing media in Spain, did you always know that like you were good, like cinematography was the one thing that you were like, oh my God, this is like it. This is what I want to do. Like just something that drew you towards that. Or
when I was
kind of
studying in Spain, or
yeah.
no, I knew I wanted to work in film. I didn't know I wanted to be a DOP. All my family work in theater. A lot of like a big part of my family. So I grew
Wow.
up in that, and my mom is a psychologist. So I did grow up in that kind of environment.
Yeah.
And I knew I didn't want to do theater for sure, because I've been so many times to the theater. I knew I wanted to do something related, but not quite. And I knew film. So while I was doing my BA, I realized I remember that I wasn't good at directing actors or anything like that. For me, it was all about the image. So I guess that's when I realized that that was it.
Yeah. Yeah, that was funny because it's kind of where I started. I was so obsessed with imagery and the impact that had on like people and like how it made me feel, especially when I was watching films. And then as I kind of was going through, I realized that I was like, oh, there's way better people than me at taking pictures, or yeah, like use of lighting and like how to kind of curate emotion through these wonderful images. So for me, it was like I knew from then that I was starting to get more interested in like the process of the creating the story and putting these characters in this sort of environment and things like that, you know. But it was always interesting how it started with the camera, and I don't know why. I just had like, I don't know what it was like for you, but I just had such an affirmation for this piece of machine that could like do all these wonderful things and, you know, essentially just kind of put you in a world almost.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, for me it wasn't so, because I wasn't technical at all by that time. Like I didn't know how to do anything related to camera. So I wasn't like so amazed by the cameras or the technical aspect of it. For me it was more like, how can I use this complicated thing to make the image that I want to get, if that makes sense. So that's what I was really fascinated by, creating images, but not so much about, I was a bit scared about the technical aspect. I wasn't, thank God, like, later I after doing my camera training, at the same time I was a camera technician on a rental house, so that helped me a lot.
Absolutely.
But at the beginning it was like I wasn't loving cameras or anything like that. I didn't care.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. It's interesting because I know a few DPs who are very, like, some are very much the same as you. They're more interested in like what you're going to capture and why, and, you know, asking those questions. And then you have the others who are like really into the text and the specs of the camera, and they're interested in the resolution and the whys and stuff. And I think at the end of the day, they're both valid ways of, you know, of being a cinematographer. I don't think there is any right or wrong way. It's just obviously what's more important to you, I guess, as a filmmaker, is kind of just picking up those aspects and stuff.
Yeah, I guess. I guess you need to know about technicalities, otherwise you wouldn't do your job right. You do need to know that, but thankfully, like, if you surround yourself also by good technicians, and for me, I don't really care that much about the camera. I care about the lenses and I care about the filters, but I'm not like, I don't think you need to be so absurd like about that, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, I think you can do any nice images, and you can do any good work with any camera. Like, I do feel that.
Yeah. There's definitely an obsession, I think, with some filmmakers about they feel that if they don't have certain level of equipment, that they can't do their job. And I think it's like we have to remind ourselves that at some point, like, you know, we had people growing up with like DSLRs, and that was like a privilege at that point, because before that it was like you only had film, and obviously like film is an expensive thing to get right or wrong. And I think, you know, even going back further, you know, there wasn't even opportunities to get into film as an industry, because unless you knew somebody or you had a direct contact or family member, the chances of you getting in were like so slim. So I was actually chatting to a friend of mine, Michael, about this yesterday, and he's working on a project, and he was talking to this DP, and they were discussing budget and stuff, and the DP was like, well, I'm not sure if we'll be able to get this and that. And Mike was like, I'm not really sure. I don't think he's interested. I was like, do you know what? Just cut it, because if he's already thinking about what equipment he wants to use, then it's probably not right for the project anyway.
He was thinking out of the kit. Oh.
Yeah, you
Mm.
know, and I feel that's like that's usually like, as you said, lenses. I feel like obviously play a very vital role in the obviously the creation of the story and the image and things like that. But like here, I find that you could have that conversation like at the end, really. You know what I mean? Like most cameras are the same these days. They pretty much do the same stuff. You know, and even thinking about the type of shots you want, even like some people want, oh, we could do technicolor and this and that and that, and sometimes it's nice to just kind of pull things back and say, well, actually, what's like the most simplest way and the most
Mm.
effective way that we can pull this off. Imagine
Yeah.
you don't have any of this nice stuff. I think sometimes we forget that it's a luxury for us to have all this nice stuff.
Mm.
So yeah. So when you came to London and you sort of started in your path to becoming a cinematographer,
Yeah.
what was like the first kind of jobs that you got that kind of like, I guess you realize, oh,
So,
okay, I'm actually doing this as a job now. This is becoming part of my career.
well, when I started to deep, it was a process really. When I was doing my masters, I already started doing a few things here and there, and then I went to camera training, like big TV projects and TV series and films. Um, yeah, my first one was with Danny Boyle, which was really cool.
Oh, that's
Uh,
amazing.
yeah, like I didn't know. Even like after the masters, I was on set like completely like, yeah. So yeah, I did that, and at the same time, was while I was having this camera training experience, I was also working on a rental house, and then at some point, I realized it wasn't for me. The camera training, like I really hated it. I think I did it for a year, and it was like, yeah, not for me. Military service.
Yeah.
I was almost like crossing the days every time that like, yeah, it was really hard. I learned so much, but yeah, I wasn't really that much interested in being like a camera technician. um the environment that I was having there wasn't really my kind of scene either. Like it was very male dominated, West London, a bit more like conservative white families from UK.
Mm.
So it wasn't really very like how you say, like hierarchic, in a
Yeah,
very
hi, right,
strange
yeah.
way. So I don't know, I didn't find my environment or the place that I wanted to be.
Yeah.
Um, and I kept hearing this thing about you need to training for 2 years and then you need to load for I don't know how long, like 7 years, and then you need to focus full for. And I remember I was training and this focus puller was jumping into camera operating, the camera operating, and he was very nervous, and he was mega experienced on way older, and I thought I just can't do that. I cannot be working as a camera technician for 20 years. I just, it wasn't good for me. I wasn't good either. I didn't enjoy it. I was more like really looking at how the DP was lighting than
Mm.
doing my job right. So I wasn't really good. So I decided to finish that block that I was doing, and quit. Yeah, and go back to like my film school and DP some grad films for other students, and that's how it started. Like just like really working for free. Yeah,
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
shorts, and from there, yeah, I don't know. I started doing shorts and more shorts, like literally shooting everything I could. A lot of like really bad stuff, really bad free stuff. But I just shooting anything I could. And then eventually I started to get a bit better jobs. I met some people. I started to work with Dazed magazine. I don't know if you know them.
I've
With
heard of them,
Dazed,
yeah.
yeah, with ID, which is with Vice, and then I started getting into that circle. I got a few gigs from there, and then slowly it built up. Really,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
it's really interesting, isn't it? How there seems to be this weird conception about the right path into becoming a HOD, especially in the camera
yeah,
department. And I feel that a lot of it does come from this sense of like, oh well, if you haven't done this, then it's like you have to earn your stripes almost, which I
mm.
find really crazy because it's such an old-fashioned way of looking at something. Like if you know that your heart is in, you
I mean,
know.
I understand. I understand. Sorry.
Yeah, no, please.
Okay. Um, No, like I understand you need to have the knowledge. And for me, I just felt for me it was enough. I did a
Mm,
training and then I did a bit of second ACing. I understand that, you know, when a focus puller, like how do I say this? When like it's good. I understand that they respect it, and it's true that
mm,
you need to know what a second AC needs and what a focus puller needs. You because you've gone through it, and
mm,
you know you need to know it, and that is true. And
mm-hmm.
but at some point I just realized I don't think you need that experience to be doing what I'm doing. Maybe, I don't know, if you want to be doing the next Jungle Book, big massive studio movie, probably you need to go through that path. I mean, I'm not even
Mm.
sure, but you like long time ago it used to be like that.
Used to be like that.
But I just knew I wanted to do something creative from the very first moment. So, and I wasn't willing to spend or to wait for 20 years until I could start doing something creative. Because then, if that
Yeah.
was the case, I was just going to change careers.
Mm.
Yeah, that was it for me. Yeah,
Yeah, it's. I know a lot of gaffers. I know that's like a lot of people tell me that they found that the better way to get into becoming a DOP or becoming a cinematographer was through lighting. So that obviously
yeah,
being a spark and then working your way up
yeah,
to a gaffer, because
yeah,
you have that first hand experience in learning about the lighting and
yeah,
stuff. And there's this I'd say it's quite a fair argument that people say, I think it's easier for me anyway to learn composition and about
yeah,
framing than it is lighting. I think lighting is in itself a whole myth that
yeah.
even to this day is still like wrap my
Yeah,
head
I
around it. It's
think
like
you
crazy.
need to, yeah, you need to practice it as well. Like for me, it was a lot about, because I was, like I said, I was so bored camera training that my game was, so the DP in this TV drama, it was called Babylon. In this TV drama would be, they do a tech recce, no, a tech recce, tech rehearsal, and then actors would go on makeup, and then the DP would light it. So I would always make sure I would try to be on the rehearsal to understand where he was going to light and what he was going to do, and then I would go back to see what he was actually doing. So I
Mm,
had that experience for 3 months. So obviously, I did learn so much about
yeah.
lighting in that way, because it was that game that I was having. Well, I should have
Mm.
been maybe charging batteries or whatever, but
Yeah.
yes, that was it. And I respect it. I really respect the DPs that have gone through the whole,
Hmm.
thing,
Yeah.
because it's really hard work, and you know they probably know more than me about technicalities. But I just feel that today, if you want to learn about lenses, you want to learn about filters, I just go to rental houses and do camera tests, do lens tests with some friends for focus pullers, spend the day,
Yeah.
try them, see which one works. Like it's way more fun, and it's
Yeah.
supposed to be fun.
Yeah, it's exactly. It's like I know we spoke about this before, but like I've just recently became friends with some people at Take Two, which I know that you do quite a lot of work with them.
Mm,
And it was like a dream for me to have this ability to do that, just to be able to go and when you have a project and say, look, are we able to like shoot this for an hour and just test this kind of lighting and these
yeah,
lenses and stuff like that. And it's just like, I don't know, I find it such an enjoyable process. And
yeah,
also it's wonderful knowing that you can kind of, you don't have to just work with what you've got on the day. You can have a kind of an idea of like what you want. Because obviously I'm used to like doing really low budget stuff where it's like you get the kit and then you just have to kind of work with it on the day. So if something's broken, tough, you have to kind of work around that and things like that.
yeah,
And I don't know, I just find it's kind of
yeah,
lovely when you get to that level when you can really start to like hone in on like what it is that you and the director want to do and like what you want to create.
yeah. And I think all rental houses will be happy to have you testing any lenses or any cameras. Like,
Yeah.
I think they're all happy to do that. So yeah, shouldn't be a problem for anyone.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know why. I just felt like, mate, I wasn't like not afraid, but I felt like if you weren't at a certain level, I know that sounds really kind of silly in a sense, but I don't, sometimes you feel like, well, why would they waste their time with someone like me when they could be obviously working with other higher professionals who are doing like really great work and stuff. But then you
Yeah,
realize at the end of the day, they're there to like help you
definitely.
in making the project and
Yeah,
things like that.
and like becoming like a good professional because I'm out as well. So it's all win-win, really.
Exactly. So before all this nonsense kicked off, what was the last kind of jobs you were working on? I know
Wow.
you came off a few commercials. That
Yeah, it was
swimming
all.
one that night was really good that I watched. I really enjoyed that one.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, that was
I
amazing.
don't even remember very well. So what did I do? I did a few commercials, a few music videos. I did, yeah, I did this short film that I was really excited about. Still coming out. Sponsored by Gucci, and directed by
Okay.
yeah. So it's a short film, but yeah, it's a short film sponsored by a brand.
Yeah.
Um, Kind of an arts film. And it's directed by this friend of mine called Rona Mackenzie that I work with a lot. Yeah. Uh, so
Amazing.
it- so it was with Ronan and Joy, who's a painter and artist, and they did their first collaboration together, and we shot this really nice film on 16 mil, and it's a bit about the travel of like jazz music from Africa to London,
Mm.
and it's about colors and like the study of blue and brown and the emotions. So the whole thing is really nice, and the music is just amazing. The talent is amazing. I was really, really excited. So that was one of the last things I shot. We were supposed to have this screening at the cinema that it got canceled, that I was really looking forward to. That actually it's going, I think the 2nd of May, it's going to a festival, the 4-3 festival. Is it? Do
Hmm.
you know which? So that it's going on the 2nd of May. So hopefully that'll be out soon.
Amazing.
That was the last thing I was doing. Yeah.
Yeah. I noticed you shoot quite a few things on film, specifically 16. I noticed, especially that Nike one. I remember that was 16, if I'm
Yeah.
not mistaken.
Yeah.
Are you like a lover of 16 in particular, or do you have like a preference over film digital?
Uh, I like them both really. I mean, I
Mm.
like to shoot more in 35, but it's very difficult because I do mostly commercials. Um, and to convince them to pay for 35 million a commercial is very tricky. Some people get to do it. I'm on the way, but not yet. 16 I love, and digital as well. I think it depends on the actual project, the specific needs
Yeah.
of that different project. But yeah, this year has been a lot of film. This 2020, like I think I did more shoots in film than digital. Yeah.
It's funny. I don't know if you've heard of this guy, Salomon Lighelm. He's a South African director. He's absolutely amazing. I highly
Okay.
suggest you look him up after this conversation.
Yeah.
And he's a champion of film. I think the last thing he did was that I remember. He usually does a lot of big commercial stuff for like Adidas, Nike, and things like that.
Yeah.
But he did the promo for Top Boy for
Okay. Cool.
Netflix, the one that Rena shot. And he was saying like Netflix were really cool with him. They were like shooting both 16 and 35. They were like, yeah, cool, that's your thing. Like, we'll just let you do
Amazing.
that. But he was saying like he really like strongly believes in film to a point where he will like fight tooth and nail pretty much on every production to be like, you want to shoot this on film, and he'll go through all the reasons why. And sometimes you win, sometimes you don't, but I think it's important that if it's something that you really believe in, that you do,
Yeah.
you fight for that aesthetic. Because again, he was saying that there's a misconception again about film, and people think that there's a lot that can go wrong and stuff, and actually it's like he was saying, well, he's had more mags and an Ari go bust or go corrupt than he has like a load, like a jam in the load or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, absolutely. For me, it's about the specific project, though. Like, I wouldn't choose film over digital in any case. Like, it would
Hmm.
depend.
Mm.
Probably if it was a mostly all daytime shoot with no much lighting, uh, like we wouldn't have access to a lot of like lights, and it was during the day, and it was exteriors, and it needed that kind of texture. Probably I would try to go for film. If
Yeah.
it's more like a nighttime with very little light available, I probably go digital. Yeah, it depends. It depends on the actual needs of the project.
Yeah. Yeah. I've never actually had the pleasure of shooting on film yet.
Okay.
But I've been obsessing over it the last year or so, and then just something about it that I'm really drawn to.
Mm.
And again, I think it's, as you said, I think I'm definitely someone who I don't have a preference over one or the other. I think it definitely should be what's right for the project. Again, it comes,
Sure.
it's that thing. I don't want my ego to get in the way of the story or the
Yeah.
process of the story, because at the end of the day, you use the right tool for the right job.
But you should definitely
Um,
try it because it's really fun and it
yeah,
always looks really nice, really.
yeah, especially 16. I know what you're saying about wanting to use 16 over 35, because I think 35 is obviously a lot closer to what we get normally, I guess, with digital.
How you mean? Sorry. No, it's not.
But
It's
I
not that
think
I wanna shoot 16 over 35. It's that I haven't really had that much of a chance to shoot 35. Because
right,
mostly I do. Because mostly in commercials, it's really difficult to convince them to pay for 35 because it's way more
yeah,
expensive.
yeah.
Um. So yeah. But it
No,
was
yeah, I hear you. I think as well with 16, there seems to be uh, I don't know, a look like you when you look at 16, you instantly you're like, that's 16 millimeter. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It has such an
yeah,
iconic sort of feel to it, which I
definitely.
think is why it's become like
Yeah.
so popular again.
And 16 black and white and 16 anamorphic, it's quite something different as well, which is quite cool. Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Oh, now we're talking. Start talking about anamorphic, man. You're gonna have me here all day. Um, yeah, again, another thing I have had yet to shoot on anamorphic, but I've got a few things I think I'd like to do that. But again, it's as you said, I want to really try and be restrained in that sense. I don't want to be like, oh, I can shoot on this. I should do it. So I've always got to be like reasoning with myself. Does it make sense? Is it right for what we're trying to do, or is it right for the story trying to tell? Because
Yeah,
again, you can just so easily get caught up in that
yeah.
trap. But so, well, I wanted to know a little bit about. Do you find the the jump from, say, doing films and commercials? Do you find that there's a bit of a different process between those two? Like,
For prep or
I mean, in general sense, like obviously the way that you and the director would kind of work, I guess, in the sense of when you're working on a commercial, obviously
yeah,
it's for a client. So obviously, you'd have a lot of input on their part. And I guess maybe as opposed to a film where obviously that's more of like the writer's or the director's vision, and you're kind of working
yeah,
with them and creating,
yeah.
the project.
Well, yeah, I guess, yeah, you've got more freedom on drama than on commercials, that's for sure. Then you've got more money on commercials, so you've got, you know what I mean. So you've got more freedom in that way there as well. Um, just 1 second. Can you give me 1 sec? Just give me a
Yeah, of
sec.
course. Yeah, no problem at all.
All right. Sorry about that.
That's okay. No
All
worries.
good. So the process of how to do, yeah, I guess when you do commercials, it's really fun because it's about visuals, really. Uh, you focus on creating nice images and doing, yeah, trying to translate through the images only. There's not so much of a narrative usually. There is a bit, but
Mm,
not so much. So you focus, like the aim is getting these amazing visuals, and you usually have more money to make them, which is always fun. For film, it's different. Like, I think you go more through the script with the director. You try to, like, think in each individual scene, what are they trying to say, what's the message of that scene, what's the aim of it, how do you translate that into visuals. um, it's not about getting amazing images, it's about having this coherence and translating the message. And
yeah,
there's usually less money as well, so I guess how you do it is very different.
yeah. I always find that when you're working on a narrative, say, and as you said rightly, there usually comes with a lower budget, but it kind of forces you to think on your feet more, and you really find those beautiful moments, kind of, as Deacons always calls them, happy accidents. Like,
Yeah,
you kind of, you prep for all this stuff, as because you have to be well prepared and stuff, and but then, like, as you kind of go through, you find that there's all these wonderful little moments to just kind of have, when you let things kind of unravel organically.
definitely. Yeah.
And I guess the difference is maybe on a commercial. I mean, do you think it's, I've never done a commercial myself, like on that kind of scale yet, so I don't know what it's really like, but I've heard it's a lot more
Yep.
kind of structured, I guess, in that sense. You know, it's a lot more rigid in the
Well,
way that you kind of have to get things, or you have, you know.
well, in my experience, there's two kind of commercials. There's some of them that are really rigid, and you've
Mm,
got like a big board with like it's like a storyboard with each shot, and every time you do this shot, it's like a cross. So you're a bit of a
yeah,
machine in that
yeah,
way.
yeah, yeah,
Because it's like, yeah, everything's very structured, and they can be talking client with agency for an hour about the blue color of the shoe, like literally, or the towels. It's and if the blue matches with the branding, and like the whole thing is like nuts. But I do have fun, to be honest, because if they're focusing on that, I focus on lighting.
yeah,
um
yeah,
it's not usually so much about the lighting they have comments on. It's more about the what's on frame, the props, the colors, the talents, what are they saying. So it can get a bit slow and a bit structured, but I'll find my way to enjoy it. um so that's one sort of commercials, and then there's another one which is like the Nike one, that it's, even if it's a commercial, it's a bit like a documentary, vibe, and you've got a lot of freedom there, because brands are trying to make it look like it's not so much a commercial, it's like a lifestyle
yeah.
ad or whatever. So then it's more like, yeah, you got a lot of freedom in those kind of cases. Usually they focus more on styling and talent, but then we have a lot of freedom. Yeah, but
I've
yeah,
definitely noticed that a lot more with the content, especially over the last few years. And as you said, I think brands are starting to recognize that, you know, we as human beings, we could tell when something's trying to be forced, or like the narrative is trying to be warped to kind of suit themselves. Whereas, as you said,
yeah,
when you work on things like a brand that has, you know, is a bit more forward thinking in the sense of like they
yeah,
know they let the filmmakers do their job, because ultimately that's what they're there to do. You know, they
yeah,
know how to translate what the brand wants to do, you know, into
yeah,
the thing. And, you know,
yeah.
hopefully
Then
we see a little bit more of that.
yeah, and I think I'm lucky enough to work with some directors that like they know how to handle client, but then again they know how to put what they want forward and like
Yeah, yeah,
stand
yeah,
their
yeah,
ground, and in the
yeah.
end get what they want. And if
Mm.
I'm working with them, it's because I also look up to them and I really admire them. So then in the end we make it work always.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just sometimes could be a bit faster.
yeah,
but
yeah.
but I do enjoy doing commercials a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you usually find yourself involved in those conversations? Because I speak with sometimes, and like usually, you know, you think the producer or the director kind of, I don't know, not shields everyone, but you know, likes to kind of be like, we'll get this handled so everyone else can kind of
On
do their
set,
job and carry on. Yeah, on set. Yeah.
no, I wouldn't. No, I like on set. I'm not really. No, like I
Mm.
would obviously talk and say hi and to clients and stuff, but no, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
Like that, I don't want to be in that conversation. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. 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 Yeah.
Unless they ask for my opinion about something, then obviously you know, I'm gonna say what I think, and I'm gonna try to help as much as possible. But in general, yeah, I don't think they're also not gonna really ask me about what I think about the color of the towel. If it's the same blue as the logo, they probably won't ask me that. But if they
Yeah.
do, I'll give my opinion.
Yeah. It's interesting that these things still happen on set, because I always thought like these are the kind of things you'd want to have like pre-approved, and you know,
Yeah,
from the heads up saying, okay, this is what we're going to use, this is the reason
yeah,
why, and everyone's kind of agreed on that. Because
yeah,
obviously, yeah, the more time you're spending on set talking and
true.
discussing that kind of stuff, the less time you have to kind of shoot.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, but sometimes you pre-approve things, and then someone new comes to set, or you change your mind about something, and but that's really, yeah. Things always change on set, don't they?
Yeah,
Like, yeah, you never know what's going to happen.
yeah, yeah. So you got to be kind of flexible at all points, really, even if.
Yeah, I'm lucky now that I usually don't really get commented on things like lighting and stuff like that, because I know some people that, they've had maybe on music videos or something, like labels saying this is not how we want it completely different, like a
Mm,
completely different lighting setup. And yeah, I can imagine that can be a bit stressful.
yeah.
But in general, I've been quite lucky in that way. Like, I don't have any bad experience with, yeah, with clients.
Mm.
I know it can be a bit like in general. I do enjoy it.
Yeah. I mean, I think it goes without saying, for any kind of work that we do, there's always going to be days that we might enjoy less than others, or there's always
Yeah,
going to be elements of it that are out of our control. And as you
yeah,
said, we have to really like just focus on the good.
yeah,
And also the number one thing that I've always learned is pick your battles. So sometimes you might be like, oh yeah, I really want to shoot it this way, and they're like, yeah, but we want it this way, and you're like, you know what, not today, that's fine, you guys have it your way. Because there'll be a
yeah,
moment where you'll have something that, again, we're going back to the thing I was saying
yeah,
earlier, when you have something you really believe in, you'll be like, okay, now it's time to fight and actually say, this is the
yeah,
reason why I believe this is the correct, or not the correct way, but the way we should
yeah,
do it.
yeah, yeah. I guess so. Yeah, like right now I wouldn't, if I come to set and they ask me to frame in like facing a completely different place, like I thankfully it doesn't happen. I think as you get more experience, also people treat you in a different way, and maybe they don't just ask you to change completely what you're doing.
Yeah.
But for sure I would, I would always try to make it work, but I wouldn't compromise in how it looks unless the director is really pushing me, and then I would. But you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah,
I
exactly.
wouldn't have also that conversation. I would have it like, I would talk to the director and say, look, I really believe we should frame this way because you've got this really big window and the light's coming from there and it's going to help this and that. And but I wouldn't be having that conversation with client usually. No.
Yeah. That's it. I guess that's the reason of why you have these kind of relationships that you curate with the directors, kind of,
Yeah.
they trust you, and then it's their job to kind of then convince them
Yeah, I guess
why your decision is
yeah.
right.
I guess we're a team, and they're trying to.
Exactly.
I know for them it's really stressful because they have a lot of voices telling them things. So
Yes.
for me, I'm
Yeah.
just there to, so they can rely on me and we can be a team. And I'm just gonna be trying to focus and make it look as good as possible and make it work really. So
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah,
would
that's
really
it.
be with them in those scenarios.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I found myself sometimes in situations where it has been really difficult, but I guess from my point of view, it's like I want to shield my team from all that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want them to have to feel that kind of
Yeah,
stress and pressure because it's not their responsibility. That's
true.
why I'm here. And I think it's always important to try and keep a really uplifting mood, upbeat on set, because I find that is such an important part of the process of making. Like,
Yeah,
unfortunately, I have had a few bad experiences. I won't name any names, but it's been kind of, at the time it was disheartening, but what it did, it taught me, oh, actually, okay, that's not what I ever want to do, because I know how that made me feel. And it
mm,
made me like really kind of lose that part of me that loved working on film or working on something. And I was
yeah.
just like, you know what, I don't ever want anyone who works with me to feel like that, because I just don't feel it's necessary. And also it's a detriment to the product at the end of the day,
Yeah. Yeah,
you
no,
know.
definitely. Definitely. Yeah.
So yeah, I just think it's really it's interesting that we still have those kind of situations, unfortunately, with certain individuals or certain companies or whatever. But yeah, it's good in a sense that you'll always learn from the goods and the bads either way.
Yeah.
So switching up, what I want to know, because this is where it gets really cool, because this is my favorite part. What have you been watching recently? What's been on your playlists?
What
Now we
have
get to
we
find
watched
out.
recently?
Oh,
So I just watched this movie that I loved, and it's kind of bad that I haven't seen it before because everyone has, and I actually had it. I had it in loads of treatments. Those images were there, and I knew I would love it, but I hadn't seen it yet. Which is Mustang. I don't know if you know that movie.
Mustang.
Yeah, you know it. Yeah, so I completely love that, and I hadn't seen it before, which is quite bad. I'm watching loads of movies. I know you were asking me about Netflix. I don't really watch much of Net. I'm more HBO.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's fine.
Yeah, Netflix wise, not really. Like I do a bit of like when I need a bit of comfort watching. Like if I'm like getting
Yeah.
nervous or I'm cooking and I need something like chill and relaxed that I don't really need to pay
Yeah.
attention, I would watch Friends because it
That's
always
always a
makes
good
me feel
go-to.
good.
Yeah. It
Yeah,
is. It's like the safe bet, isn't it? when all else is off. You're like, oh, that's Friends is always there.
Yeah, you it's comfort. Yeah, you
Yeah,
know you're
yeah,
gonna be fine. Which is good in these times that happening.
yeah,
Then
yeah.
I'm watching. I don't know. Do you know this TV series called Money Heist?
Yeah, La Casa de Papel. Is that
Yeah,
right?
La Casa de
Yeah,
Papel. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, I really like. I know some people working there as well because it's a Spanish program.
Is it Madrid? Is that right?
Madrid. Yeah. It's really fun. It's not like, like some people look at it at like, what's the meaning of this and that, and this season isn't really giving me much. It's like, it's really not for that. I think it's for
Yeah.
entertainment.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
exactly. Not everything's supposed to be artistic and have deep subtext
Yeah,
meaning. It's just like
yeah.
you have a compelling story that, and yeah, literally entertains
Entertains
you.
you.
That's it.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, that's it.
because they were saying something like this last season, it's not useful in any way. Like they could take it out and the story will continue, which is probably true, but still, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was enjoying that, and then I've started. That's in Netflix. I started The Sopranos again.
Oh,
Yeah,
my
which I
goodness.
love. Yeah, best TV series for me ever.
Yeah, yeah. I did enjoy this. I'm a bit of a sucker for a good gangster
Yeah.
flick.
What are you watching
Um,
now?
So we've watched a few actually. We just watched speaking of Spain, there was one called The Platform, which was a yeah, it was like it was a Spanish original actually, which
Okay,
was
I'll
great
check it
because it's
out.
really good to see like more films and good content like coming out from Spain because they've really like been on the game the last couple of years
Yeah,
and like
yeah.
pumping out.
Hopefully, it
Um,
continues like that after this.
I hope so. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. So yeah, we watched The Platform. We have basically at our house. There's like four of us in the house. Me, my partner, and then her friend and her partner.
Yeah.
So we have a little film box, and we'll kind of make our little suggestions that go in. But
Fun.
we watched the Tom Hanks one, The Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. I don't know if you've
Okay.
heard of that one.
No, I haven't
So
seen
it's
it.
based on this TV host called Mr. Rogers, who's like I think he's born back in like the 80s, I think it was. And yeah, it's basically about this guy who's going through. He's a writer. He's going through like kind of like a midlife crisis.
Yeah.
And he has to do this spread on Tom Hanks's character,
Mhm.
and it's a little bit about how kind of we find more about his past and kind of why he is the way he is, and then Tom Hanks kind of helps him kind of move forward, and then it all kind of goes on from there. So that was really cool.
Nice.
There's been a
Sounds
few.
good.
Yeah, there's been a few. We watched Black Klansman, the Spike Lee
Okay.
film from a few years
What did
ago.
you
That
think?
was really good. I love
Did you
that
like
film anyway. Yeah, I mean, I must admit, Spike Lee's like he's one of the greats. Whether you
it?
like
Yeah.
him or not, from a personal view, so he's very outspoken, and I don't always agree with everything that he has to say. But as a filmmaker, he's absolute
Yeah.
genius. And I love that. And I think you need that sometimes. You need to be a little bit different, outspoken, and have ways of seeing because I think
Yeah.
that's what fuels the vision, or that's what makes you be
Yeah.
able to tell these really interesting stories.
Yeah, I do. I love Spike Lee. Like I was actually in an interview. I was telling like when I was 12, my mom already started renting Spike Lee movies for me, so I would see them
Yeah,
all. So I grew up
yeah,
watching his film. I actually the first time I saw
yeah.
him, I couldn't sleep. I had so many nightmares because I was a child, and the movie was called, do you know, Crooklyn?
Crooklyn, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so that was the first movie I saw when I was 12. I was like, seriously, I had such nightmares. And that film that you're saying, I did like it, like, but the ending was a bit too much in your face for me. Like the whole
yeah,
explanation of what's going on now,
yeah, yeah,
was too much fitting in. Like I get it. I understand. You don't need to put it so much in my face. It felt a bit like an insult, like as if we're not that. I don't know. I felt a bit
yeah.
uncomfortable,
No, yeah. I think
but
maybe it felt more of like a political statement towards the end.
yeah, it's
It
just
kind of.
like, yeah, we get what you're trying to say and I agree with it, and
Mm,
but yeah, it's just don't force it on me so much because we get it. To me it
yeah,
was a bit too much, but i
yeah,
do
yeah,
i
yeah,
do love him. I do love him. Yeah,
yeah.
it was really
Oh,
it's really funny.
Oh,
You hear
sorry,
me?
lost you there for a second.
Okay. Anyway, I wasn't saying anything.
That's cool. So yeah, I've been there's been a few. There was one we watched the other day that really hit me. Do you know what, I've been watching trailers a lot more recently as well, and I don't usually watch trailers. I think it's because I'm getting really itchy about not being able to go to the cinema.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I I love just like watching a film on the big. You know what I mean? It's like one of the things when you're a kid. Just like the reasons I got into film is like imagine seeing something that you created on that big
Yeah, yeah,
wide frame,
definitely.
the sound, the ambience, all that kind of stuff. I
Yeah,
actually
now that you say, I
saw.
really miss going to the cinema.
Yeah, right. Exactly, and I had the pleasure of watching Uncut Gems at the Prince
Okay.
Charles Theatre.
Wow.
My friend Rayhan took me, and I didn't realize at the time, but I think they're one of the only places that have a 35mm projector. So obviously the
Amazing.
film was shot 35mm anamorphic by obviously the great Konji, one of the best on the planet.
Mm.
And it was amazing to just see that actually like on the projector, like an actual
Yeah.
35mm print rather than like the
Yeah.
digitized version. Because I was like, hang on, this feels really like I could see the textures and everything. And I was
Texture.
like, oh shit, it's actually 35. Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's so
And it
cool.
reminded me of like, so it's great that obviously we've got Netflix and streaming and stuff like that. And I think it's definitely opened up so many doors for a lot of us, like
Definitely.
the ability to create things on budgets that we never would have had that opportunity before.
Yeah.
That's definitely the positive side of it. But I think the negatives are there's not as many people want to go out and sit in the cinema and stuff. And I get it as well. Like I get really like fussy if like there's people talking and stuff, and I'm like, gosh, like, watch the film. I get very, because when you're like passionate. I went and saw a Parasite in the cinema, which was really
Nice.
cool.
Nice.
And that was amazing, like, because it was quite quiet as well. It was like during the day. I finished work and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to go and see it, because I was like
Yeah.
waiting for my girlfriend to be free, and I was like, if we keep waiting, it's never going to happen. So I was like, right, I'm just going to go and do it. And like just sat there, like everyone was really nice and quiet as well. I think because they were trying to focus on the subtitles as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
but
definitely.
I mean, that for me is never an issue anyway. Like I always try and just focus on like what the film's telling you without the use of words, because I find that's just, I think that's something inherently that we do anyway as filmmakers. We're always looking at the other side of it. But yeah, that was a beautiful film. That was really, really good. The direct photography on that is amazing as well,
Yeah,
man.
it
Like
is amazing. How he uses the space.
and the reflections as well, the motifs of reflections throughout that film.
Yeah.
And how they did like the water stuff as well, like just putting that camera in that kind of scenario, man. I don't even. I honestly, I want to talk to him. How did you guys do
Yeah.
that? Because
For
that
me, it
was
was
unbelievable.
the house of the family who aren't that rich, the small house. I just think
Yeah,
the way he uses the space and the window and the toilet, everything is so interesting.
yeah,
Like, yeah, it's super cool. Yeah.
yeah. And there's like fluorescent
Geometry.
greens and stuff. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't realize as well, but there's a lot of VFX in that film as well.
Is it? I
Yeah,
didn't.
like a lot of the house. So the rich house. Um, So part of that road, there's like all of it's like basically like added on in stuff in the house as well. They only built certain bits of it, so there's all this different stuff that they needed. I think the garden as well,
Yeah.
part of it might have been done VFX. But again, it's one of those things where I love how they utilize the CG where it was necessary. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big believer in like practical in camera. Like I will always push to do as much as possible in camera,
Mm-hmm.
just for the level of believability more than anything, and the fact of when you're making a film or a project, you want it. Part of that is doing it, actually doing it, and not having to sit behind a big screen and things like that.
Yeah.
So I do love it when there's filmmakers like Bong who will always do what he can in the camera, but then he will add or kind of give it another layer with the VFX.
Yeah.
Kind of similar to Nolan, I guess, in that sense as well.
Mm. Very cool. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'll send you I'll actually send you the little VFX breakdown. A friend of mine
Yeah,
sent it to
please
me
do.
afterwards. That was cool.
Yeah, that's great.
But yeah,
See.
I don't. going back to what you were saying earlier about the July thing, I really hope we get the chance to go to the cinema again this year, because I don't know how I'll survive if I can't go.
Yeah, I feel you're being very negative. You scared me when you said that.
No, I'm usually really optimistic as well, but I don't
Why do you
know.
think
I'm
you won't be able
scared.
to shoot in July? You really thought you wouldn't be able to shoot in July?
Yeah, I mean, I'm more concerned about what my collaborators, because obviously, like the people I'm working with, I'm like they're going to be working for like almost no money on this film. A lot of
Yeah,
basically all the budget's going on production, because it's a lot of it is like sci-fi orientated, so we're having to focus a lot on those elements. And I know that a lot of my collaborators are not working right now,
yeah.
so if there's at the time if there's work, I'm not going to say like, well, we're doing a film. It's just like you
I
guys need to go
see.
and earn your
Yeah,
money, and and I respect that because I'm in a similar boat. So for me, it's like, if I have to wait, then that's
yeah,
fine, because
yeah,
at the
yeah,
end of the
yeah.
day, it's more the welfare of my cast and crew is way more important than my film. The film is
Mm.
not going to go anywhere.
So it's not about
Um,
thinking that you don't think you'll be able to shoot. It's more like you don't know what situation they'll be at.
yeah, I don't think, that's it, because I'll always like, when the time comes and there's there's the lockdown's called off, I'll be the first person to be like, let's go, I'm ready. Like
Yeah.
I'm spending all
I'm
this
so
time
ready.
prepping, getting things together, doing my research, because as I said, this what else are we going to do? I want to use this time wisely,
Yeah,
and I don't think we're ever going to have a chance like this again. Hopefully not, anyway, fingers
yeah,
crossed.
yeah.
But I'm finding my creativity is at an all-time high right now, because I'm really focusing on the things that I think are important,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know about you, but before it's like all I cared about was like working and trying to get money and trying to make things happen and stuff, because that was ultimately, the things that was important, having to pay rent and being able to eat and things like that. And now it's just like, well, I haven't really got anything else because there's not much I can do. So now I'm just
Yeah,
going to, focus on that kind of stuff.
yeah. No, yeah. For me, yeah, like I think I needed this kind of forced stop. I didn't know I needed it, but now that I'm doing it, it's great. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I miss being on set so much, and I miss working so much, and it's scary to
Mm,
think that you don't know when you'll be able to. Hopefully soon.
yeah.
But then again, I've got a feature film coming that I need to work on, and I'm doing this kind of Bible with every scene and how it's supposed to look, and
Is
like
this your
I'm just.
first feature, by the way? Sorry to
It's the
interrupt.
second. It's well,
Second one.
it's the first as main unit. In the other one was second. Yeah, thank you.
Congratulations. Yeah, that's amazing, B.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully it'll happen. Yeah, we were supposed to shoot in May, and then it got pushed to June, and now it's got pushed to July.
Yeah.
So, but I'm using this time to really focus on like checking references and looking for images and like being more precise, and yeah, which is great. And I'm also prepping on a few other projects, like shorter, like commercial stuff that I know that as soon as this finishes, we've got the locations, we just need to go there, recce them, and shoot. So I've been prepping that, and then aside of that, like just having time to, listen to music. I'm doing a bit of pottery. I'm doing a bit of like whatever. I'm just enjoying it so much. Like
Yeah.
it's been ages since. Yeah, it's just not working, but also knowing that no one else is working. So you don't feel you're being slow or you're staying behind. You're just everyone is
Yeah.
in the same boat.
In the
So
same boat.
you just need to focus about doing stuff that fit you.
Mm-hmm.
It's what you were saying about using this time wisely. I also don't think that we should be like, there's this thing now that everyone is saying, like, you need to be productive. You need to work out. You need to make bread. You need to do this and that. And I don't think we should, do that to ourselves either.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Still a balance, right?
we shouldn't be forced to be productive. It's fine if you're
Yeah.
not feeling well and you're not being productive. It's fine if you're not doing anything. Like, it's fine. Literally, now we
Yeah, of
need to take
course.
care of ourselves.
Yeah.
And for me, it's all about that, like really taking care of me. Yeah.
Yeah. Again, the most important thing is, your own well-being.
Yeah.
Like the beautiful thing about being alive, I guess, is that you have that ability to choose what you want to
Yeah.
do. If you want to get up and go run for 3 hours, you can do that. If you want to sit in bed and sleep till nighttime,
Exactly.
go
You
ahead.
can do whatever you want. Definitely. But
Do whatever you want. If you want to make some pots, that's, you can do that too.
Yeah, exactly. For me, yeah, I mean, it's great that I've got this time for the feature. That's amazing, that I can actually research a lot, because it's a period drama. Research a lot of
Okay.
stuff that's been done during that time.
Yeah.
Which is good to understand how was the lighting conditions on that time. And yeah, like, it's great. I'm really lucky in that way.
Is it with a director you've worked with before? I don't know how much you can say, so I didn't want to ask too many questions about that.
No, so I can say it's with a director called Laura Mañá, from Spain, from Barcelona. So I've never worked with her before.
Amazing.
We've worked with the same people, but her and I, it's our first collaboration.
That sounds amazing. Well, I look forward to obviously seeing that when it all comes out, B.
Yeah, thank you.
So just to wrap it up, because I'm sure you've got things to do this evening, and but little questions we just ask now, just like as a wrap-up thing. But if you were left on a desert island and you could only take 3 films, what would they be?
Oh my God, no, don't ask me this.
I know.
Don't ask me this, because I literally, you got me.
My only advice is not to overthink it. Just go with what's in your heart.
The thing is, it depends. I'm not going to answer, because I don't really have three films that I love. Also, would be for sure a Woody Allen film from the early 90s. That's for sure. But I don't even know which one. Maybe Hannah and Her Sisters in Manhattan or something. It would be, because for me, I don't even have a favorite movie. It would be, I'd really like Argentinian films. There's this director called Aristarain that I love. So it would be one of his films as well. All his films are really like intimate.
Yeah.
And they just, there doesn't happen a lot of things. It's more like characters in this atmosphere and in this interesting scenario, just having conversations. It's a bit like the Argentinian version of Woody Allen in a way. That I really enjoy.
Can you send me a link to some of their films after this, please? Definitely. Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah.
He did he did this film that is quite famous called Martin H.
Yeah, I've heard of that one.
Yeah, which is really cool. But that one is based in Madrid. On the third one, I don't know really. You got me. I cannot think right now.
I mean, you can take 2 Woody Allen films or that. So yeah, I mean, I had to answer this before, but I think my answer will changed. So if we're going, because again, I'm the same. Like I have so many different types of films that I love for different reasons, and it depends on what mood I'm in, what day it is, what I've been inspired by recently. So for me, like, I grew up with like 80s action films. It's interesting because I wouldn't necessarily make those kind of films. Like I actually like to make more what I call drama films. More about people and relationships and things like that. That's what I'm interested in. But in terms of like actually viewing, like, I love the old like horrors and any John Carpenter film. Actually, one that I love that I didn't think of before, Big Trouble in Little China, which was one of his less unknown ones with Kurt Russell and James Wong, and that is one of my favorite films on the planet for the few reason that it's such a ridiculous concept on paper. Like you'd read this thing and be like, what executive agreed and said, yeah, I'll give you X amount of money to make this film? It doesn't make sense. But when you watch it, it's so amazing.
What's it called again?
Big Trouble in Little China. It's like a sci-fi fantasy kind of set in like Hong Kong. Yeah, it's crazy, man. Honestly, it's so crazy. I highly recommend it. I love it so much. Yeah. It's proper John Carpenter style. Like, I don't know if you've seen any of his other films.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I'll check it out.
Yeah, it's amazing. So that would be one. I usually say a Nolan film just because he's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And last time I said Inception, but I think this time, the more I watch it, I've been really in love with Dunkirk, and the reason is because everyone's like, there's a few comments about it being boring and stuff like that, which I don't get anyway. Like, I think that's absolute nonsense. But what I love about that film is that it's so visual. You know what I mean? It's like you were saying with the commercials. There's not a lot of dialogue in it. He just lets what happens in front of you like tell the story. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
and the way that he kind of intercuts these 3 different scenarios into one kind of film, I think is unbelievable. I honestly don't know how his brain just kind of thinks like that, or how he sees things like that. It's
I know what you mean.
You know, it's crazy.
Cool.
Like his film coming out in July is like one of the reasons I want to get out of here, so I can go and see that in the IMAX. You know, like
which one is that one?
It's called Tenet.
Okay, I don't know.
And it's funny enough. It's got John David Washington from Black Klansman, which I'm really excited about, because it's like good to see him as a main, you know, as the main guy, you know, and Robert Pattinson as well, who absolutely in love with. Which brings me on to the 3rd film.
Hello?
Oh, hello.
You froze there.
Yeah, it just cut off for a second. Anyway.
Which one is the 3rd one? I've got my 3rd one.
Okay, my 3rd. You go first.
I go first. Okay, it's a really sad film. Maybe you won't understand why, but the thing is, it's a really sad film. But when I watched it, the experience I had when I watched it, I remember watching it at home with a friend, and we were both like, oh my God, this film is just beautiful. The way it's shot, like it was such an experience. It's called Amour by Haneke.
Amour, yeah. It's such an amazing film. Yes.
It's really sad, but I remember the experience I had watching it. It was like memorable, like I won't forget. So probably I will take that one.
Yeah.
Which one is yours?
I'm going to go with Good Time by the Safdie brothers.
Okay. Nice. Very different, your films and my films.
Yeah. Again, it depends. It depends on the days, man. You know, sometimes I'll want to watch like a foreign film, you know, like Amelie, or go back to like something Kurosawa. Like I watched, what did I watch the other day? The Bad Sleep Well, which was really nice. that was amazing. Like, and what really intrigued me was the fact that this is a guy, you know, we're talking back in the 50s or whatever, and they are in my opinion, there's some of the films are better than the films that we get nowadays, just in terms of like you know, the thinking about the important stuff, you know.
Probably the process was slower as well.
Yes.
Also more about it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's it. Exactly. They had more time to kind of curate these ideas and really think about, you know, the characters and the plots and things like that. And I think, you know, again, sometimes I think we get too caught up in the visuals or things like that, or, you know, we're going to do this and that and the other, and just, you know, or you don't have the time, which is usually a combination of the two.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, thank you so much. It was nice to talk to you properly as well, because this is like the first time we've had a proper conversation. Hopefully one of many. But
yeah, it was really nice. We'll chat again for.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And it won't be recorded this next time, so we can just have a no holds barred conversation again. But yeah, send me those recommendations of the Argentinian director, because I'd really like to see. Yeah, I'd love to see that, man. That'd be amazing.
And you send me the VFX for.
Yes, I'll literally do that right now. Amazing.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you so much.
Have a good evening. Thank you so much. You too. All right.
Bye bye.
Ciao. Bye bye.
See ya.